Hey everybody, I'm Mike. I work down in student life and I absolutely love it. You might see me carrying this note card around here. I'm just trying to make sure I stay on track. But first of all, if there are any new students this semester with us, would you please stand up just real quickly? Don't be shy. If you're a new student, hey, thank you. Yes. All right. Hey, thank you. You all can be seated. It is hard to come in mid-year. It's just difficult. And they had an NSI, just like we do in the fall. But let's do our absolute best to make them feel a part of our community. Will you help me do that? That's just so important because you can imagine when they go to a class and everybody's talking, you already know each other and on your teams and in your other things that you're doing, your activities, they know, and all of a sudden they don't know anyone. And so it's just so important that you guys help us do that. The second thing I just want to say is it is an honor to be up here. Dr. Newman is on a little sabbatical right now, so I'm really subbing in for him. He'll be back as we get closer to March, and so that'll be exciting to have him back with us. But all right, so let me start off with this. We sang this song, More Than Able, but here's what I want us to think about today. Life has ups and downs. It's pretty exciting to talk about ups, but the downs part, not so good. But I'm going to focus a little bit on the downs today. Here's where I first figured this out. I was 7 years old. I was playing tackle football. I was playing right here in town for the West Side Independent Optimist Club. West Side, just like Pullman City West. And I mean, West Side, right there, we were all about it. We wore our baby blue just like the Pullman City West Patriots do. We had a little bit of gold in the uniforms. And I'm playing this game, and it is pouring down rain. Well, I'm playing a little defensive line here. And so I kind of get down in my stance. I'm waiting on the offense to come up, and I think, well, it's all muddy in front of me, so I'm going to just take a little bit of this mud and rub it on my uniform. So then after the game, when people see me, they think, man, that guy got after it, And hey, I know you defensive guys in the house, you got little tricks up your sleeve, like I'm going to be the last guy off the tackle. I see you at number 12 when all of a sudden you're getting up really last and you're showing everybody your jersey number and they say, oh, that was Carter Brock on the tackle or whatever. I know how you guys work on those things. Well, me, I didn't have that because we didn't have the big announcers, but man, I was just covered in mud. And afterwards, after a thrilling 6-0 victory, I was walking off and just off the gridiron, feeling rugged, mud all over me. But on that particular night, my parents had to leave early. So I was going to ride home with one of my teammates. We got to the car and his mom said, well, you boys are all muddy. Strip down into your undies and get back in the back of the station wagon. And all of a sudden, I went from tough man, warrior, gridiron great, to I'm sitting in the back of the station wagon in my little whitey-tighties like this in somebody's car. And from here down to here. Life's got ups and life's got downs. When I was your age, exactly your age, I was 22, I was doing my student teaching. And the first slide that'll be up here is of Jeff Hulse. And Jeff is a coach for anyone from Olathe. Don't shout it out yet, but if you're from Olathe, this is Olathe East High School. And I was doing my student teaching. At that time, I was at Oregon Trail Junior High, and he was a teacher and coach there. And we were walking down the hall one day, and I remember, this is super embarrassing for me to say, but I remember thinking, I am going to get some sympathy from this guy that I know, this Jeff Hulse. He's a real-life teacher. I'm a young guy, and I thought, well, because we saw a little guy on crutches that had a cast on his leg. And I remember thinking, I'm embarrassed to say it, but I'm going to get some sympathy out of Jeff Hulse. And I said to him, oh, man, I remembered last year, because my senior year of football, that earlier, I had a season-ending and really a career-ending knee injury, and I had to have a full-length cast on. So I told him, I said, oh, man, I understand how that little boy feels because I had a serious injury myself. And Jeff Hulse Please bring that back up for me. Jeff Hulse told me, he said, I am so glad I've never had anything like that happen to me. His exact words. Put the picture back up. Jeff Hulse, if you notice, it looks kind of weird in here, but he has no left arm. There is no left arm. Mike Redwine, you idiot. I mean, I'm trying to get sympathy for a stinking little knee injury from someone without a left arm. Sorry, I'm spitting up here a little bit too. Sorry about that. Just don't sit too close. But that's embarrassing. Over a 14-year period at Olathe East High School, he won 94% of his softball games, 7 state championships. And you know what? When he was 14 years old and his arm got blown off from a shotgun accident, he was the quarterback of the football team. Well, he couldn't take a snap, so he couldn't do that. He got cut from basketball. I want to talk to that coach, to be real honest, but that's a whole nother thing. So he decided, I'm going to play baseball, because he could wear a glove and he would catch it, and he would toss the glove and the ball up together, catch the ball, and then throw. And that's where he got his love for softball. God was not finished with Jeff Hulse yet. At 14 years old, I can't make sense of exactly what happened. I don't know exactly what happened, but I know Jeff Hulse knows that he worshiped a God that was able, and that he was not finished with Jeff Hulse yet. There are highs and there are lows, and again, there are ups and there are downs. And I know oftentimes, again, we don't necessarily want to focus on that. Here's what I need you to do for me real quickly. I want you to take your phone out. I know last time Cooper said, put your phone away. I'm telling you, take your phone out. Go to your notes section real quickly. We need to do this fast now. Notes section, or just put it somewhere where you can type. And I need you to answer 2 questions for me, and those are going to be on the screen. The question number 1 is, what's your dream job? What do you want to be when you grow up? I was asking my grandkids earlier, little Ava that's over here. I got my whole family here, by the way, and that's only, while you're doing that, let me just say, my family is here, certainly I think to support me, but I want them here because I want Papa to be the same when we're outside riding 4-wheelers as he is when he's up here talking. I want it to be the same, and I want them to hold me accountable to that. So that's the first question I want you to answer. What do you want to be when you grow up? I asked my youngest granddaughter, Evelyn, this weekend, and she said a mermaid. We just sang about the impossible. Nothing's impossible, so I'm just saying, I don't know. But Ava wants to be a mermaid. That was on the list. Last week it was a ballerina, but it was a mermaid this weekend. The second question I want you to put down there, and I don't want us to try to, we're not comparing against Coach Hulse. We're not comparing against Mike Redwine and in the back seat in his whitey-tighties or whatever, but what is the worst thing that's ever happened to you? And I want you to put that down. Question number 1, let's show another slide, and this is just one. It's gonna be simple, but it's just gonna have this line. And at the top of this, I wanted you to be thinking about, that is what you wrote down, what you want to be when you grow up, your heart's desires. Now, we could have a whole sermon on discerning the Lord's will, which is the most important thing, and seeking him first in that. But right now, let's just say that is, you're in alignment with God. That's what you desire. That's what he desires. And so we're off to the races. But here's what I want you to understand. It will not go like this. There's going to be some of this. But what I believe is when you wrote that down, and it's the desire of your heart, and if you're seeking God first, I think God is saying, get in there, let's go. He's giving you some Milo right there. Seek him first. And what I believe is that when you do that, your will begins to come in alignment with his will for his life. And it will oftentimes change. We were talking about that in our office. Our majors are everything but anything to do with student development, I can promise you. When you start going through, we got a major, we thought when we were your age, we're doing this, that, and the other. But you know what? We sought the Lord's will, and an open door happens, and an opportunity to serve presents itself, and you just begin to walk through. And here's what I'm going to tell you. It will be more than you can ever ask or imagine. You can't even begin to think about the way that the Lord will use you if you're faithful in that. But there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows. Let's look at the next slide real quickly. And our verse of the year talks about this. I've heard, now I know we got smart people in there that can tell me for sure, but that David was pretty old when he wrote this 23rd Psalm. So he had a couple of years under his belt at this point. And he says, well, yes, that God is going to let me rest in green meadows, and he's going to lead me beside peaceful streams. And if you're like me, when I'm reading the 23rd Psalm, I'm still thinking about laying in green grass and listening to still waters. And I forget that here in just a couple of verses later, it says, even though I walk through the darkest valley. I've read all kinds of versions of this. In fact, when Blair told me I was going to speak, I read 70 different versions of the 23rd Psalm. I mean, basically every one that the Bible have had. And I don't know, some of them was the 22nd Psalm. You'll have to explain this later. I don't know what versions of the Bible that one is, but I read all of them I could. And it's a valley like death. It's described, I mean, it is as low as can be. But so it is going to be a high, yes. If you allow him to lead you, it'll be led through this. Let's look at the next slide real quickly. And it goes into this. Click me over here. Slide. Okay, yeah, here we go. Nope, that's not it. Maybe it got out of order. That's okay. Well, let me just keep going then. Well, here's the one I want, is the one that has the blank in there. Is that in there? It's the verse with the blank. Okay. I'm going to read it for you. No. That's okay. A little technical difficulty here. That's okay. I'm going to go over it because I've got it right here. Here's what I want you to think about. This is the second thing that you put on your in your phone. Is when we read the 23rd Psalm together. When we read it together, I want you to read it thinking this, and it's in verse 4, and it says this, even when I walk through blank, put yours in there, I'm doing the same, even when you walk through getting your arm blown off by a shotgun, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me. He's there beside you. So whatever you wrote down is the worst possible thing that you've ever went through. If it's the worst thing that you can imagine going through, we have this promise that even though we walk through that, we will not be afraid. And he's close beside us. He wants to lead you. That's our theme for the year, right? Let's allow him to do so. Okay, I don't know how I'm doing here, but I think I'm okay. Let me explain. At the end of this, we're going to sing a song again. We do a song, the same one that we sang earlier. So we're going to end that way, but I have one other special thing I want to do before we do that, and I'm going to have my granddaughter, Cade, come up. She's one that's going to help us think about even when we go through the darkest valley, when we have life of ups and downs. So help me bring Cade. Let's give her like Cade. Woo! Right there. How about Cade? Here, Cade, you sit right there. I'm gonna, because Papa come over here by you. Is that okay? All right. So I'm going to move this real quick just so I can see Cade and I. We want to see ourselves on this thing here now. Well, Cade, how old are you? Hold it up so they can hear you.
6.
6 years old. Big Cade right here. And let's go. Cade, you don't remember this part, but I'm going to show you some slides about Cade's life. And on each one of these slides, on the left side is going to be life is good. And on the right side, life is not so good. So it's going to be up and it's going to be down. Okay, so let's go to the first slide of Cade. This one is your mommy and daddy, and they're super excited. They're showing a picture of you inside your mommy's tummy. That's pretty cool, isn't it? On the right, you probably don't remember this one, but I remember when your mom brought this one home. They went to find out whether you were going to be a boy or a girl, and the doctors came in and they said, something's wrong with baby Cade. Do you know what they told him?
Something's wrong with my heart.
Something is wrong with your heart. Cade, there's 4 chambers, and only 2 of hers developed. So she basically has half of a heart. There's a lot of other really interesting things, but she has half of a heart. So let's go to the next one. So you started, but you were born, and you were great. There you're with mommy. Look, your mom's hand, you could fit all the way in her hand. That's crazy. You were itty bitty. That's great. But then on the right at 7 weeks, you had to do what? What did they do to you?
They made me have heart surgery.
You had to have open heart surgery. So they had to open it up, and they got to get in and fix your hearts, didn't they? So after that was over with, you were, okay, let's go to the next slide. And look at you there. There's baby Cade. When she saw that earlier, she goes, oh, yes. Well, I would do the same thing. Look at you, you're beautiful. But then at 7 months, you had what?
My second heart open surgery.
Your second open heart surgery. So she went back in. So there's baby Cade. And then, so you got through with that one and you were doing good again. So let's go to the next slide. And oh my goodness, look at you there, cute as a button, I will say. And look at this right. She had to go through all of these little procedures. This one right there, she's literally in a tube. I don't know if you can see this, and they make you hold your hands up. Do you remember that?
No.
Well, it's a good thing, because when we saw that, we had fun. I looked, students, if you look at the name of this device, it's called a pigostat. A pigostat. I thought, what in the world? We're making the doctor change the name of the pigostat. I don't care. She don't get that. But baby Cade, you probably weren't really happy with us in that one. Your mom, she's smiling, and you're thinking like, what are these people doing to me? Let's go to the next one. So you had a lot of appointments. I mean, you could go out and run and play and do all that. You like to fish and ride horses and ride four-wheelers at Papa's and all that. But you had a lot of appointments. In fact, your mom told me that probably you've had about 100 trips to the doctor in your life already. Let's go to the next one. And then even you got to do fun stuff after that, like go to Disney World. But then 14 months ago, you had what?
Third open heart surgery.
Your third open heart surgery. That one was kind of a long one. Can you see who all's in the picture with you on that one?
You're really a mommy.
Okay, you said the name, but it's your favorite nurse, isn't it? We have some students in here that came down to Student Life yesterday to get their pictures who want to be nurses. That's cool, isn't it? And I just want to say, be somebody's favorite nurse. This angel really, really helped, because this was a tough surgery. Cade, you don't even probably remember this very part because you had literally just come out of surgery, but you had some tummy problems and all that. That was hard, wasn't it? Yeah. Well, let's go to the next slide. And Cade, here's what I want to say to you is, in fact, I was afraid that might jump to the wrong one because that popped up earlier. Jesus was with his friends, kind of like we are here, and some of his followers, and he said this. He said, I've told you these things so that you can have peace in me. In this world, you will have troubles, but be brave. You've been brave, haven't you?
Yes.
You know what? Super cool about this verse. In some translations of the Bible, it says, but take heart. That'd be really cool for you because it's about your heart. I love that. I have defeated the world. You know, Jesus, because he died for us, he wins. So when we follow him, we win, right? No matter the ups and downs. Well, Cade has a little thing that she wants to read for you. So let's go to the next screen. And Cade, you want to read it off that, or do you want your note card here?
That.
Okay, go ahead, yeah.
When did you start to forget all of the great things God did? There is so much more to your story. God's not done with you yet.
Thank you, Cade. All right, you can come down. Hey, you can carry that to Lydia, okay? Yeah, thank you. When did we start to forget? All the great things that he's done. He's not finished with your story. Whether you're here, whether you're going through difficult times, we worship, and we're getting ready to worship again, a God who is able. Let's worship together.